わさびアニメ、すごいですね。
Allegedly, according to the producer, in my ears, AirPods Pro, we are live. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the fifth, Ken, is it this fifth? Five? We're five. Now. This is
Five. I think we're five.
The fifth episode of Convention Nerds, which completely blows Ken's mind because he didn't think we were going to make it past three. And I think he even told the producer, I might invest in better equipment if we make it past four this time. So,
after three, I bought a new camera. So
okay,
I'm like making them high-tech streamer kids now.
So now we can see the color of your hair in 1080p versus
exactly.
360. But for everybody joining us for the first time, this is Convention Nerds. Convention Nerds is a weekly video podcast show about running and operating consumer-focused media shows, aka anime, comic book, and pop culture conventions around the world. My name is Tom Croom, and in 1999, I met a girl and discovered that she liked Sailor Moon, so I decided I liked Sailor Moon too. And so I created an anime club called Wasabi Anime. Since then, Wasabi Anime has gone on to do, literally, I've been to over 100 conventions individually in the past few years alone, getting to go out there, talk to fans about not just their fandom, but also about building a community of fandom and conventions. The way I got further into it to start Wasabi Anime was by going to a convention in Orlando, Florida called JCon, the Japanese Animation Convention in Orlando, Florida at the University of Central Florida, where I crashed a Transformers panel where some guy was up there being obnoxious with two other people who had no idea what they were talking about. So I had to cut in regularly and correct them. And that would be Ken, Joey Snackpants, Nabbe.
Hey, Tom. Yeah, in 92, I broke up with my girlfriend. And to fill in my free time, I joined up with this new club that I found a flyer for at the local comic book store, the Japanese Animation Club Orlando West. And from there, merged back in with the original Japanese Animation Club Orlando, and we've started JCon in 2000, September 2000. Of course, that's where I met Tom. And we've been doing Wasabi Anime, 10 years, 12 years? How many years now? A lot.
August 2001 is the technical inception creation date of Wasabi Anime, which means next year will be the 20th anniversary of Wasabi Anime.
Wow.
Yeah. Which leads to a whole other discussion we're going to be having soon. But we are based in the Southeast United States. Yes. I'm in Florida. Ken is in Georgia.
Yep.
And, right now, if you're looking, you can't see below me, but I'm still wearing shorts. It's in the upper mid to later 80s today in Florida. 86 degrees was the high today. So we decided in order to, really get perspective on the difference in cons, we tried to think of one of the places we can go as far away as possible. So we'd like to introduce our friend Vlad, who we're talking to from Edmonton and Alberta, Canada. Vlad, why don't you introduce yourself and tell us about the show you're here to represent and just a little background.
Sure. But before I do that, I just want to mention one thing. Me and Ken go back a very long way. And I want to reveal something about Ken here real quick. Oh, yeah. Perfect. Anyway, I've known Ken actually prior to JCon when I used to go to AWA Atlanta.
Yep.
And the way I know Ken is he used to go to parties, and he was even old back then.
He was
an old guy back then. And he'd phone me up and he'd already come and get me and say, Vlad, you got to come to these parties. I feel really old and you're older than me, so you can bring up the average age.
Exactly. What I used to drink at conventions on a weekend is what I would probably put down in 2 years these days. Ooh, man, my liver does not like me for that time period. Yeah, my first AWA was 97. So yeah.
Yeah, so that's how I know Ken. Me and Ken go back a long way before he had all gray hair or white hair.
So you guys met in the 20th century?
Yes.
Yeah, in the 20th century, that's right.
Just to clarify. Cool.
Yeah.
What, you're from Canada?
So my name is Vlad G. Ponert, as I like to call it. And I represent Animethon, or my passion. My passion started way earlier than Tom's. I mean, my first con was 1978 or 79.
Thank you. I feel young again. Keep going.
Yes, you do. And the interesting thing about that con is it had one video room, and they had a 27-inch TV with a video tape recorder, not a VCR, a video tape recorder. And they were showing Star Wars, and the room was jam packed to the rafters.
Quarter-inch
Everybody's
tape.
going, wow, wow. And that's all it took to wow people back then. Nowadays, cons are quite a bit different. So then I got involved in the Doctor Who Club in 86. And before I knew it, I was a co-chair of the Doctor Who, the first Doctor Who convention in Edmonton. And then everything went sideways, and I kept doing more and more conventions, mainly Star Trek science fiction conventions. And then I got into this little thing called anime, and I decided to go to there was no clubs back then, so I decided to start one. I was a co-founder of basically BACA, which is the Bonsai Animation Club of Alberta. And yes, we do know what that means. We did know what that meant. We thought it was cool. Until
still is. I'd go by it.
I'd go by it. Yeah, sure. And
what year did that club start? When was that?
1991.
Wow.
Okay.
Yep.
So that was quite a long time ago. Actually, that was.
So let me put us all in a lot of pain here real quick. Now the audience can't hear her, but our producer is sitting quietly in the background. Danielle, what year were you born? Is she listening? Okay, never mind. She's typing. Oh, you're typing? You're not going to be able to see. Just tell us what. Oh,
91.
There it is. I was born in 1991.
I graduated from high school in 90.
So there you go. See, I was
Cool.
I was hijacking Disney clubs, making them into anime clubs, because that's basically what happened.
Oh yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
So Disney club's that far north. Okay.
So basically from there, I left a little. We started doing some promotional clubs. Some promotional cons, I should say, little mini events at stores.
Yeah.
And that led to actually, and then that led to 1994. Yep, 94. That led to Animethon. And I left before Animethon because I went to do other conventions, Star Trek, Star Wars, those kind of conventions.
Yeah.
And there was a couple of guys who decided, a few of the people decided, hey, we watch anime anyway, so let's get 2 viewing rooms at our local college, invite people, and if we only show up, then we get a cool weekend if more people show up. And I think about 84, 85 people showed up, so that was the birth of Animethon.
Now you're correcting me without knowing it. So every time I've come up to see you, I've always said Animethon, and I'm going to say everything wrong when I'm in Canada anyway, because Florida. So is it Animethon, Animethon? Is there a preferred or specific pronunciation that's
I've heard
preferred
it all,
one over the other?
I've
Feel
heard
like
it all
about
the
in a
ways.
boot.
I've heard it all the ways.
So I'm still safe saying Animethon. It has been called that too.
Well, since I'm the co-chair and I'm on your show, I'm going to correct you and say Animethon.
Okay, right. I will call Animethon for the rest of the show.
It didn't sound sorry
forget
though.
that.
I'm very
There you go.
disappointed.
Yeah, you guys in Florida, you always mispronounce everything anyway.
Well, in the United States, we mispronounce anything and we drop U's in every word we can. So 90s. So you said 1994 was the first Animethon?
94, yep.
Okay.
Wow. Okay.
That was presented on by BACA, the animation club. And, things were pretty cheap back then. Just had to get a couple of rooms booked, and rooms came with projectors because it was at a college.
Right. Yeah.
It was on McEwen College. And that actually Animethon stayed on McEwen College, the college, until 24. So it's 24 years remained at the same location, which is pretty incredible. It grew from 2 rooms to taking the entire campus, which was 5 city blocks.
Now, if you had to guess, how many people do you think showed up that first year?
I think about 84, I was told about 84 people showed up over the whole weekend.
Now, comparatively speaking, last year, ballpark, how many people came to Animethon?
Well, I could tell you exactly. I'm the one who keeps all the stats. 10,062. We broke the barrier of 10,000 finally. And
that's those turnstile numbers or individual?
That's
noses?
A warm body count.
Warm body count. Okay.
Yeah.
We don't count the zombies.
Yeah. Well, and let's face it, up there as cold as it is, that's not a unlikely statement. So you moved 25 years later off of the college onto, and you guys are where at now? I've been to Edmonton. You're the downtown one, right?
Yeah, the Edmonton Convention Center.
Right.
Okay.
Because
I go up there. So full disclosure for everyone watching. So the reason I go there, and this is going to be confusing when I connect all the dots. Actually, let me take a step back. The reason Vlad and I know each other is because Wasabi Anime for a good couple of years helped run the overnights at the video arts track. So Ken already knew Vlad from AWA. Then Wasabi Anime came to AWA, and that's where Vlad and I met. And then with the advent of Project Anime, which I helped start in California, we bump into each other because of having to go to so many cons. And then when Wasabi Anime started working directly with Informa Pop Culture, there was a show in the same town called Edmonton Expo, and that's where we got to see each other a lot more. Now my story, and I've been waiting for this entire show to tell the story. My favorite story about introducing somebody from Florida to your town, Vlad, is that to fly from Florida, and I fly usually out of Orlando, Florida,
Right.
all the way to Edmonton. And if people, pull up a map, it is probably about as far away as I can go without, getting myself to Russia or Alaska next. And it's just straight across the entire map. Hours and hours of flight. So I get up early in the morning, get on my flight. When I leave, I live, in a beach town. So I went to the beach that morning, enjoy the ocean, had my bathing suit on, walked back, got a shower, had everything pre-packed. So I wanted to just be chill for a long flight. Get to the airport, fly this long flight after my morning at the beach. I get in late at night in Edmonton. It's probably like 11 p.m. ish. Car picks me up at the airport, takes me to the West End downtown. Check into my room late at night, go up to bed, and I pass out, sleep like a baby, long flight. Next morning, I wake up. And when I wake up, the first thing a lot of us do in today's day and age, you reach over, you grab your cell phone first. So I reach and grab my cell phone, look at the time, and my calendar is right there on my phone. And it says at the top of the calendar, last day of summer. And I'm like, okay, it's about that time of year. It's the last day of summer. I was at the beach yesterday. Cool. I get up, walk to my window because it sounds weird outside, open my window, and it snowed 6 inches between the time I landed and the morning I woke up. And that was my introduction to your entire city. So,
and the strange thing is that just happened that year early. So just on that day too. So it was just waiting for you, Tom.
Well, and I took full blame. I'm like, I came all the way from Florida to bring the snow for that. But
right.
So let's talk about the show. So like I said, I'm used to the multi-genre show that's in town, but you had a couple of base pieces that we can relate to, and Ken can speak to more than I can, because Ken was there at the beginning of JCon, being born out of JCO, and JCon was, the cons I all started were hotel cons, but his started on a college campus also. So like what sort of, in Canada, Canadian college, what did you guys have to do to, get that set up, get permission? What's it like doing that at a college level?
Well, originally there was only a few rooms involved. And when it grew to 4 rooms. So, it was easy just to book the rooms because the club had rights there. But after a while, when you start taking over more and more space, the college starts to go, you're gonna have to start paying for that space.
Or pay more.
And the funny thing with colleges is that there's a section that wants to make money, where they say, hey, go get more people, rent our rooms and make money. And then there's academics, but academics has the full say in everything. So if you want this room, but academics wants it too, guess who gets bumped?
Yeah.
So we had some very, very interesting things with academics.
Well, and how long, so like rent wise, like I know Ken at the, when you guys rented the whole UCF student union, what was it, like $500, something stupid cheap, right?
Oh, when we got to the larger Animethons, it got pretty expensive because now we're renting 5 city blocks of space, including their main gym and everything. So,
yeah, but I'm talking about like back in college.
Back in college, it was a few bucks, You could, the funny thing about Animethon, up to Animethon 10, Animethon was free. There was no admission cost. It was mainly a viewing convention, or what we like to say festival in Edmonton, because this is the city of festivals. We have more festivals than all of Canada, almost. And so we were a viewing festival. So up to Animethon 10, 95% of our programming was all just anime. Hence,
and I think your audio's gone. Ken, say something.
Am I still back? Am I back now?
Now you're
Oh,
back.
now you're back. Yeah.
Hi. Sorry.
I saw you. I can't do my lip reading that well anymore. I saw
Oh.
you speaking.
Yeah, I was like, he's paying a chunk of change, but is it in Canadian dollars? I mean,
Well,
Yeah,
funny
it
money.
is in Canadian dollars. Yes.
So, but you guys were free for the first 10 years. So what did you
Yeah.
draw revenue from? Just from
Yeah,
vendors?
Well,
Well, there were vendors starting the third year, and that's paid the balance. Like I said,
Mhm.
when you're paying fairly low fees at the university and the rooms are
Right.
equipped with video, audio, video, and you're showing 99% of what you're showing is anime, then there isn't really that many costs involved. I mean, I think the budget
Right.
when came a changeover time, and that came, the budget like doubled or tripled, really.
Well, one of the challenges I brought this up when we were talking with Holiday Matsuri. One of the reasons why JCon had the cost it did from year 2 and beyond is because when we were low cost, we had a hard time getting people to work the convention because of course you give them the badge, and I think our first year we were $20, and people were like, oh, I don't want to work, I'll just pay the $20 and go. And we're like, you realize it doesn't happen unless somebody actually helps the event.
Yep.
So we went to a higher price point because we found the point in which people were willing to volunteer versus pay, and where that mix is where we ended up putting our price point. It wasn't because of cost or anything. It was like it was one of those limiters that we need to have to be able to get the actual bodies that we're doing just outside the love of helping.
Mhm.
So
Well, we had a different problem. What happened is Animethon 10, it was getting to the point where there were so many people coming to Animethon
mhm,
that the society that evolved from the club that ran it,
mhm.
couldn't sustain it any longer free.
Right.
And they didn't want to continue. And hence what happened was they wanted to basically end the event. But a lot of us, that's where I was conned into coming back to help run the event. That's where the Society of ASAPA was born, which basically is Alberta. It stands for Alberta Society for Asian Popular Arts, and it
Okay.
basically runs Animethon. It presents Animethon as a committee run it. So that came into being at that time, and the biggest argument we had was half the committee wanted to still keep it free, or were afraid that, hey, we've conditioned people now to come for free. We can't
Right.
just charge money. And then the other half of us was saying, yo, people will come. It's their passion. They'll do it. So we ended up arguing, and we ended up finally compromising that we'd say, okay, for a donation of $20 or more, you get a fast pass. You get a card that puts you in the front of the line.
Oh, that's
So
smart.
yeah, well, it was a way to kind of transition into that. So what happened was the day, we weren't sure what was going to happen, but the day I was pretty confident things were going to go. And the day of the con, people were throwing in like $50, $60, $70 saying, here's payback for all the years we were free. And everybody was paying. So when they asked the lineup, okay, who has a fast pass? Everybody put up their hand with the fast pass. It pretty much made it useless, because there was only maybe 2 people that had to go to the back of the line. So, and after that, nobody complained anymore.
Well, as clean as we've kept the show so far and discussing everything, we're going to get a little dirty. I'm looking over at the chat, and
Yeah.
somebody has put in, Vlad, tell the story of the room of toilets at the college. Can you please tell us what they are talking about?
Oh boy, that would have to be brought up. So the irony is that the college was always doing construction. It was always a joke that after a while there was always construction in the college.
Mhm.
And we were told, okay, you can't have this room, you can't have that room, you can't have that room because there's construction. And what about that room? Oh, that's the foreman's office. Oh, what do you mean that's the foreman's office? So we got these 4 video rooms, that we really desperately needed because they were the bigger rooms. And here we are. And the first day, our technician comes and wants to set up the projector. He opens the door and it's full of toilets. That's our
Just toilets.
Yeah, their video room has on the outside our little sign that says, video room 5, and has a schedule. And the room is full of basically toilets.
I mean,
But
that's
they didn't-
basically the ultimate viewing room, if you think
Yeah, I
about
mean,
it.
Yeah.
it's a room of thrones. Let's go.
Yeah.
Watch some anime.
Yeah, it's completely self-contained. Yeah. So we had this room full of toilets and we couldn't use it for the video room. Now, obviously, later on we shuffled it around, but just think of the surprise of our person who went to set up this computer, and opens the door and there's toilets in the room.
I've had a debate with hotels the definition of locked in a room, but I never had to talk about how to have a room full of toilets. That's
Yeah.
one way to limit seating
only in
capacity.
Canada. Yeah.
Well, that was very interesting. The college was a very interesting place, because when we started into bands, and we used the main gym as our main events room because it had Coliseum seating. It had like bleachers, it had full seats.
Okay, yeah.
So it was kind of really cool after, and we could, it was about 1,500 people it could hold. It's pretty big.
Mhm.
And so we'd go and they would say, okay, this is emergency lighting, and they'd turn off half the lights. I'm going, what do you mean? I can still see all the specks on the floor. That's not emergency lighting. They said, well, that's as far as you go down. So first year concerts were basically in full bright light until they finally tore off the mercury vapor lamps. And if you know anything about mercury vapor lamps,
Yeah.
once you turn them off, they don't come on very
Come back
quickly.
on.
Oh no, you get
So-
you gotta warm them back up. Yeah.
So I was ready to go into the next year following. I was ready to go and fight this. I was going to threaten to take this con away from them. I was all pumped up and I was all going to fight this thing, and I was all ready to go and and everything. And I get in the room and I'm ready to go. And they say, oh, by the way, we're ripping all the lights off, putting LED lighting on there, so you don't have emergency. You can turn off all the lights. I'm
Oh.
like, oh,
Okay.
damn! I was going to fight you on this. Now
I
you
came
take
all
it-
prepared.
Yeah,
I've
came all
come to
prepared.
this before. You come all ready with you're about to dig in and have a battle, and it's we fixed that, and it's like, well, I had all this energy going.
Yeah, so
I should say that our chat room has devolved pretty badly. Talking about your toilet, they're coming up with names of
my God.
viewing room for number 2. Finding seats in the viewing room quickly becomes the Game of Thrones.
oh, I get
Um,
I get a feeling I know who put that post in. I know who did that.
So let me jump over. I get another great question, and so let's leave the convention center for a second, and let's go to, or I'm sorry, the college, and go to your convention center year. So a big challenge for us running shows in the United States. Ken and I have literally almost put our heads through the wall dealing with this before. Is operating food and beverage events within a convention center, within a hotel, and the reason is in the lawsuit landscape of the United States, we can't anymore, like we could have, maybe 20 years ago, hey, we're going to do, this maid cafe, and the maids are all going to make their own food and cupcakes and bring that in. And we just can't do that. There's too much liability
yeah,
that gets carried
yeah.
with that.
And don't forget, F&B, as we call it in the industry, is a big money maker for the venues, especially when we move to a hotel.
Yeah.
And it's normally built into most of our contracts as well. What we're having to spend, how much we need to spend, and then who we need to buy it from, and then of course, how much booze we have to buy too.
But my key question is, what like if I had a maid cafe coming to your Canadian show, would they be allowed to make their own cupcakes? Would they have to sign waivers? Would you have to carry insurance? What's that scenario like at a convention in Canada?
The food nightmare is about the same as everywhere else.
Okay.
See, when we were at the college, okay, I'll bring out a name that everybody will freak out over. Airmark. Airmark used to run the food services at the college.
Yeah, I think
So-
they have a monopoly on all the consumer.
Oh yeah, even in
commercial.
Canada.
Yeah.
But when we moved to the convention center runs their own food services.
Yeah.
So they were very hesitant to make us run a maid cafe, but I went to them and said, okay, by government regulations, if our maids take a course and get the basic food preparation course, which is like a 2-hour, you can do it online, then they'll have a food prep license and they can touch the food, right? And they looked at me and went, nobody's ever asked that question.
That's a clever approach. That's interesting.
So we had all our maids certified to do food preparation,
Interesting.
which
That's a
means
clever approach.
which means they could, and the convention never heard of it. So they went, you know what? Nobody asked that question. They went to the managers and said, you know what? We were willing to try that. And since then, that's how we got away with it.
Interesting.
Shay, who
order
runs my maid cafe in Florida, is in the chat. Hey, take note. Yeah, she's interesting. Take notes on this.
Safe
one.
serve
That's an
would be our
approach I've never
appropriate,
heard.
yeah. We gotta
By
do
that,
safe surf.
don't worry, that'll be
certifications.
royalties on that idea later on.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah, bill us.
well, Canadian. I mean, it's going to
Yeah,
be a
we'll
buck
pay you
cheaper anyway.
$1.20 in
So.
Canadian. Yeah,
Oh yeah.
I've seen Scott Pilgrim. I know how it works.
Yeah. Pay you in coins. But okay, so it's the same challenges, but it sounds like you guys have come up with some creative solutions. But
Yeah, that's an
it's still,
interesting way to spin it. Yeah.
The beautiful thing about the convention center here is because Edmonton is a festival city.
Right.
So during the summer, the convention center is dead, very dead, because everybody goes outdoors.
Yeah.
So we're
yeah.
during the summer. So guess what? We are the biggest event the convention center has. Pretty much, we take the entire convention center.
Now the convention center. I remember when we drove out to. Where's Edmonton Expo, Tom? What event?
no,
event
we're at
center
the
is that?
so Edmonton Expo is ironically at the Edmonton Expo Center.
That's correct.
Down the street from us, like we would walk past when we'd walk from the hotel to the Edmonton Expo Center, you would actually see the Edmonton Convention Center.
And that was over there on the right when it was. That's on the. Is that the one on the slope?
Yeah, that's on the slope. It's
Okay,
It's in the
yeah,
river. It's in the river valley, so we have a natural cosplay park.
Right. Yeah.
Works really well. And one thing we did in our main events room, there's a whole wall of glass, and we put our green room in the corner, and we left the wall of glass without curtaining, so all our guests could see the beautiful river valley and everything. They were like, nobody wanted to leave the green room.
Well, so segueing into the next talk. So you're in a great position because you have been to like Anime Weekend Atlanta, and you've been to US shows.
That's correct.
And I've started going to Canadian shows, but we both worked capacities in both. But what, in your perception, what would you say are the key differences, if any, that you've seen between a Canadian anime pop culture event or an American pop culture anime event?
Well, there are a lot of similarities in terms of what you see, but that goes about. But a lot of times, what people tell me is just the atmosphere, and sometimes the people here, the fans. Not to say that in America it's any different, but in America, the shows tend to be bigger, a lot more, a lot more money involved, a lot more stresses, involved. Well, Canada, we seem to, people here, like one of the things that the convention center said, they said to us, your people are so nice. They're so polite. We love your convention.
Which is already a Canadian stereotype. So now it's twice.
So
as
here's a convention center that loves our convention. The main sales manager took me aside and said, actually, you know what? You're our favorite show.
Now, Edmonton in itself is in a strange geographic location. I mean, flying in, it's nothingness than Edmonton. I mean, what are the things that restrict your attendance numbers? I'm assuming that people are only willing to drive X number of hours to come to the event.
Well, the metropolis Edmonton area, the whole area around Edmonton, is just barely 1 million people.
Okay.
Next you have 90 minutes. You have Red Deer, which is maybe 40, 50, 60,000 people. So, and then you have Calgary, which is 3.5 hours away, which is quite a distance now.
Right. Oh yeah.
They're about 1 million, a little over 1 million, just slightly over more than Edmonton, but just barely. So there isn't a lot to draw upon. Like, when you go to obviously Atlanta, California, there, you pretty much got people oozing out of every corner to go to the con, right? So the challenge is, and our convention center isn't necessarily that huge. It could never sustain 20,000 people.
Yeah.
I mean, last year after 26 years, we broke 10,000 people. So it makes the con a little bit more, friendly, a little bit kind of where the big small con.
Intimate. Yeah. Well, and you said you're the numbers person. So, kind of extending off Ken's question here. In Florida, for example, I live, 2 hours away from MegaCon, which I work to. That's and right. 2 hours is a nothing drive for me in Florida. Like, it's normal because our cities are spread out in our state. Yeah. And a ton of people in the Southeast go to a massive show called Dragon Con in Atlanta. And they'll all drive to that because it's normal to do a 5-hour drive in this region. So you're saying 3.5-hour drives. How many people, estimate approximate at Animethon are from Edmonton proper, that region, and how many come from Calgary, and how many come from neither of those?
That's very interesting. The stats are very interesting in that we thought there were a lot more, but it's kind of anywhere between 5 to 10, sometimes even 15%. So there isn't a lot, when you look at it.
Mm.
Most of our region is from Edmonton. Not that we don't get, but then the thing is, when you go past Calgary, the next drive is about 8 hours.
Right.
Oh my
Okay.
God.
And that's Saskatchewan, and you know how how the shows went over there. Next biggest metropolis area that's massive is Vancouver. That's like a 10, 12 hour drive.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
that's too far. Okay.
You're not going to get too. So, we're spread out a lot more. It's not just get in the car and 6 hours later we're there.
Yeah. So, and I mean, if you think about it, I mean, you have 1 million people, or we're being corrected in here. There's 1.3 million people in Edmonton, according to the chat. Then you're looking
after last week's
that's probably
corrections on Columbus.
That's including that's including all the surrounding areas, I'm assuming. Yeah.
Okay.
The greater Edmonton area.
But I mean, 10,000's, 0.0, it's a drop in the bucket compared to your population, which means, that's still impressive. That many, that many anime fans.
Relative speaking to a lot of other cons, when you start looking at the ratios, actually we're doing really good.
Yeah, I mean, the one we always pull from when we joke about numbers is, Anime Expo is the largest one in North America, and people tout that a lot. But Ken and I are very quick. We love stats and numbers. Quick to point out that there's 10 million people living in the LA basin.
Yeah, there's more people in the LA basin than there is in the state of Georgia. So I mean,
yes,
you start looking, going, when that the population density, and they talk about that in the chat, population density figures into a lot of that. Now, when I was in Edmonton, I was surprised about the strong Asian culture that was there in Edmonton. I mean, what's the background of that cultural subgroup there in Canada?
There is definitely a big Asian presence here, and so I would say, it's not as big as Vancouver. Vancouver, when I used to go to the cons there,
okay,
there used to be a much larger presence at the conventions, but I'd say we get a fairly large share, definitely a lot more than in some of the places I've gone in the U.S.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, Vancouver's one of the I've had to do city demographic research for the shows we work with, and Vancouver's, I think, top 3 in the United States, or North America, excuse me. For
just put Vancouver in the United States. Yeah.
I corrected myself.
Bad Tom.
No, I meant Vancouver, Washington, right over the bridge from Portland. I recovered quickly from that one. But yeah, no, Vancouver's kind of the little Hollywood now. Because it is such a popular city. So yeah, I didn't know. Again, I've never driven through Canada, except for, I go to Calgary, I drive over to Banff. That's about it. But, the distances, so you have a city with 1 million people, and you said it's 8 hours and then 12 hours to the next one. And then just
Past
below
Calgary,
you guys, okay. And then below you guys, there's just a whole lot of nothing.
Well, let's put it this way. If you move the border up, they were always joking that if you move the border up 150 miles, you'd lose about 90% of the major cities in Canada. Well, Animethon is the most northern anime convention, largest northern anime convention in all of North America.
So it's the northernmost major anime convention. I'm trying to think.
Pretty much, yes.
So I think I worked that out last time. Ken and I had that argument because I was trying to figure it out by where we were, latitude and longitude compared to in Europe. Like, is this the furthest north I've ever been? It might be.
There are some conventions in Europe that are further up, but we're pretty much giving them a run for their money.
Yeah. So as far as how many years has it been now? How next? What? Let me back up with this question. What approach? Because this is a question we're going to start asking more and more in every show. What approach are you going to have should your convention happen next year? Is it going to be the 26th occurrence of the convention or the 27th year? You see what I'm saying? What's the number that you guys are going with, and what number convention would next year be for you?
Well, the interesting part is we're one of the very few conventions that still use numbers at the moment. And what we've said basically that Animethon 27 didn't happen, so it's postponed till next year.
Okay.
That's what we're riding on right now.
So next year will still be the 27th Animethon versus the 28th year. Because I've heard both conversations happening right now in our community.
That's still a mystery.
Okay. But as far as occurrences, you guys have completed 26 conventions to date, right?
Yes, 2019 it was 26.
Okay. Uh, if you had to tell somebody who's never been to Animethon before, what would be the appeal of coming to Animethon versus any other anime con in Canada?
We've got a really beautiful convention center that overlooks a beautiful river valley.
Mhm.
We also have we're also very good at guests. We have usually very good guests. We're very good at music. We're called one of the probably music cons because we do always have bands from Japan, and so we have a unique sense of guests. And the atmosphere, I would say, is very festive here in Edmonton.
Now, are you the only, aside from Edmonton Expo, which I work with, and then Animethon, your show, are there any other pop culture events of note within Edmonton?
Yeah, there's a few. They're much smaller though.
Okay,
So there's
but none to the scale of yours, or
And you're not counting hockey,
No.
right?
no,
A
no.
hockey game is not a cultural
No,
event.
no,
Okay,
that's
just
not-
check.
Well, it is a culture event, but not the same genre.
not a pop culture event. So,
Yeah. Although
and-
we've had Japanese that some of our guests that were basically, we found tickets for them because they were like, oh, gotta go to hockey in Canada.
I almost bought an Oilers jersey last time I was there. I bought
the fact that the
Rouge shirt
first time I
instead.
flew in, the fact that I got off of the plane and that's all that your baggage claim is I'm like, I
Yeah.
literally looked at him like, I guess hockey is important here. And then
I bought me some Wayne Gretzky wine in the airport on the way back out because
Well,
my wife would love that stuff.
Well, one of our mini cons, Taste of Animethon, we used to do a winter con at one point until it grew too big.
Oh,
Mhm.
But we had one of our themes because we always have themes, and we had our main mascot Nishi. He was in a hockey outfit with a hockey stick playing hockey, and I was at a general science fiction con, promoting our convention, and the dad, was there with the daughter, and he flipped over and he said, "Oh my God, this is hockey! So hockey happens at your con?" And the girl squealed. She goes, "No, Dad, that's anime."
So you're saying hockey is a big deal in Canada?
Yeah, it is because the dad was
I'd never
was
heard.
really cool of going to an anime con to see the hockey, and the young girl and his daughter was cool in going to anime.
So Vlad, were you living in Edmonton when Wayne Gretzky left?
Yep,
How bad was
it happened.
it?
Remember, Ken, don't forget, we were living in Orlando when Shaq left.
I know.
Yeah.
It happened.
It was pretty bad.
It was. I mean, I understand that we used to put the Shaq jersey on top of on King Kong at Universal Studios, and he's in the pre-show for some of the things there. And the second he left, we had to shut down the pre-show for a ride at Universal because people were throwing stuff at the screen. So
I
I can
believe
only
it,
imagine.
yeah.
And that's just Shaq.
We don't talk about it.
Yeah.
We have a roadway named Wayne Gretzky, freeway named Wayne Gretzky, and it basically stops at the old Coliseum.
Yeah.
Oh.
I was like, hey, it's Wayne Gretzky Avenue. Oh, yeah. Yeah, it is Edmonton, isn't it?
Now, I don't know how to work this into the conversation, so I'm just going to go into it. In Florida, we are a hot mess when it comes to conventions, more conventions, and like I said, you only have those two major ones in Edmonton. We have 100 on any given day, and the one of my favorite, oh God, what were they thinking conventions of all time? I didn't realize how notorious it had become until we were at AWA and you had a music video there paying tribute to the awesomeness from Florida that was Naruto Track. Do you remember that?
Oh yeah.
Naruto Track.
And I got that idea because that really was a con that was being produced.
Let's be clear, Vlad, I went.
Yeah, so
You went to that con.
Oh yeah,
It was
in Miami. Yeah,
So Petey, the guy who runs a show here called Spooky Empire, Mike
Yeah.
Broder, who's the owner of GalaxyCon now, and myself all heard about this and agreed to meet. And literally, it was a hotel con. We walked
Oh
into
my God.
the three of us went straight to the bar, ordered drinks, and sat there and watched Walter Koenig.
Yeah, Walter. Yeah.
Having a borderline, what the hell am I doing here? Look on his face as every kid in an orange jumpsuit kept running and screaming in front of his table.
Oh my God.
A glorious,
I
glorious
so wish I
train
would
wreck.
have gone.
I
was
stopped-
working that weekend.
I stopped at learning that there was a panel on how Captain Kirk and Naruto have very similar qualities. I went, okay.
They
Stop there.
tried their best. They really tried their best.
Do you still have that music video? Because I might need a copy of it. Just to,
Yeah,
to
I still
show.
do. I still have it.
Yeah, I might need to get that from you so I can show it at MegaCon as part of one of my panels down here about Naruto Trek. Which, even better, technically, I believe that event happened twice. So there was a second Naruto
Oh
Trek.
my gosh.
And legend has it, it was a father and daughter. And again, back in the 2000s, in the aughts, everybody wanted their own anime con because
You got $20, you could get yourself an anime card. So
yes, and a young lady decided she wanted to do a Naruto convention, and she asked Dad to help her out with it. And Dad's like, "I'll put money in it if it's a Star Trek convention." And it was hey, we get peanut butter and chocolate. It'll make Reese's. It did not make Reese's. I was there. I saw it firsthand.
Yeah.
But it
we used to have some strange guests at JCon just because the staff wanted to see certain people. And hey,
yeah.
you're willing to throw money at it and
Well,
make it happen.
All I can say is only in Florida.
Yes,
Yes.
only in Florida.
Now-
That's a moniker to attach to that.
Talking about guests, when you've done a convention for a quarter of a century, you brought in a ton of people. If you had to pick the best guest, in your opinion, that Animethon has ever brought in 26 years, who would you say is your pick?
I'd have to say the best guest I had the most fun with, and the fans did, was Ladybeard.
Really? Okay.
See, we brought Ladybeard in when he was at the top of his career. You know, when he was, so his concert was one of their biggest attended concerts at that time.
Oh wow!
Really?
And he put on it, and I mean, he was fantastic. We joked around a lot. You know, it was funny. There was a funny story about this because he made us a commercial, and he said, and you know, he was pumping out, "I'm going to Canada, Canada," and he goes, "And I'm going to lick a what is this? Oh yeah, I'm going to go and lick a bear, hug a bear." And what?
Oh my God.
So what I said is, "Oh really? Are you?" So I told my co-chair at the time, I think I said to him, "You know what? I've got an idea. I always come up with these ideas." I go, "We're going to get this big gummy bear. We got this big, 5-6 inch gummy bear. We put it on a plate, and oh yeah, he mentioned maple syrup. So we got maple syrup, Canadian real maple syrup. And on stage, I said to him, after when he was going off stage, he says, wait. I hear you want to lick a bear with maple syrup."
Oh my God.
And he goes, "Did I say that? Oh my gosh."
Sounds like
he came to Canada to get diabetes.
So we got the tray out. We put the gummy bear on, and we put the maple syrup on it. And he said, "Here you go. Here's your opportunity. It's all Canadian."
Oh my
and he really did it. He really licked it.
Yeah,
What's funny is if you look at it, I'm looking in the chat and somebody just typed Ladybeard with a question mark, and I'm waiting for that person to Google and find out what we're talking about. So
yeah, so he was a very popular guest, and he was fantastic.
That's great.
At his peak time, he's the peak crossover of anime fandom and internet. So that's phenomenal.
Oh,
and
okay.
I'm
not familiar at all, so it tells you how far
my
finger in the pulse of fandom.
Oh yeah, he put 150% of himself. Like when he did that concert, he just about passed out. He put 120% of his energy into it. And then he still go run around and he'd do a high five to all the fans that came to his autograph session, every single one.
I mean, when we saw Momo Clover Z at Expo, Tom, I had no idea who those girls were, So I have no idea, any of the Japanese acts. So
well, we had we were always lucky with guests.
Well, you sold the bear on eBay?
No, I don't think so.
Oh, okay. I'm like, what? It's like when they
Yeah, Ladybeard, lick this gummy
That-
bear.
hey, people pay money for things for charity. You never know.
I know,
Yeah,
I know. I've seen some of the stuff that they sell after the Star Trek events. So
Yeah, I believe it.
Bella, what's her name in Bathwater? How much money did that make?
Oh, Jesus. Oh,
So that was your favorite guest. What was would you also just say that was your biggest attraction, like the most people came for that, or
We've since then had a little bit bigger attractions, but I always feel there's a little bit of, I always really liked him, and we had a lot of enjoyment. I mean,
Mhm.
some of our biggest guests, like we had last year in our 2019, we had basically Bandai come, or two representatives from Bandai come. And the
Mhm.
reason they most Bandai doesn't really do conventions, right?
Yeah.
And especially small ones, but did this little show called Blooded Orphans, right?
Right,
Gundam
right,
Iron
right,
Blooded
right.
Iron-Blooded
Orphans.
Orphans. Yeah.
yeah.
And there was one episode that took place in Edmonton, Alberta. And they even
Okay.
had our city, they even had the streets of downtown, and they had Gundam fighting over in our streets. We thought that was so cool. So when we thought, well, maybe we should try. And they was like, no, we're not interested. And they said, where are you from again? Edmonton. They go, wait a minute.
Wait, what?
Wait a minute. And they never came to Edmonton to do that. They took everything from the internet. So the producer and the main voice actor,
Hey.
they came down, and their main thing was, hey, we'll come to your convention if you take us on a tour. We want to see all the locations in person.
Well, and you bring up a
And-
great point that we talk about with conventions a lot of times too. Is and again, you are northernmost, and where we can say like, oh well, it's Edmonton, it's the middle of nowhere.
Right.
There is appeal to being the middle of nowhere. Orlando, we have come to theme parks. If you come to Texas, come get barbecue.
Right.
Right.
But when you guys run your show, I mean, is when you bring your Japanese guests, including those producers, how often is that a thing for drawing them to come to your city?
Yeah, it's pretty tough on that part. They usually always comment on how cold it is, and that's in the middle of summer.
Well, yeah,
Oh,
But you know what? We've had a lot of hot days here too. So
on the mall.
we have
Well, yeah,
everything. Yeah, we take them
Yeah,
to the
Sporky
mall.
Bar just said, and the mall, and that's honestly when I came to Edmonton and I brought Ken the one time. Ken was always like, "We've been to the Mall of America," and I'm like, "Oh no.
No, you haven't
I've been to the West Edmonton Mall,
Yeah.
and I've been to the Holy Land and back, and getting the true Canadian experience. I go to the food court, get poutine, and then go buy myself a a Roots hoodie or T-shirt while I'm there. So
Well, one thing is we're a very green city, and the river valley is very green, and it's like a river valley in the middle of a city. So one thing they always really are impressed by the green and how beautiful it really looks here. So that is one big appeal we do have.
Well, it seems like friend Karen's in the chat. Recently, Japanese guests sometimes make decisions to go to smaller conventions based on the tours and unique experiences that they can have by joining the event. Do you guys know about it or talk about it? So, and that's is a good piece. Like Ken and I already brought up the single most touristy thing, I guess to put it, that we know of in Edmonton to see in Edmonton is the West Edmonton Mall.
And most of our guests go there too. Like we had Flow, which is a big band. I mean, Flow is a very big band. They don't do very many small conventions. We were very lucky we got them because our guest relations department really works hard to get guests.
No.
Plus they wanted a Canadian tour. They wanted a Canadian city, So we were very fortunate. And they went to West Edmonton Mall, and the coolest thing there is that they have a gun range there, and they said, "Oh, we can fire real guns." They were freaked out over that, and they were like, "Oh, cool!"
Yeah,
well, it's
Until the manager found out.
We have friends in Texas that run Texas shows, and when they come to Texas, it's NASA is there, and I can shoot guns, and those are the two things that Japanese guests are excited about.
Well, remember that dinner we had at Expo, Tom, and the most fascinating thing was the pictures of us at the gun range.
Oh yeah, we had to do we were doing a big dinner in 2012 at Anime Expo, and it was a lot of important people that had sit there, and Ken got roped into having to go with me so I could have more people to converse with. And I look over and we're all worried to be sure, we're still new into the Japanese communication end of be careful, tread carefully what we're doing. And I look over at Ken and he's flipping through his cell phone and they're fascinated because he's showing his other half at the shooting range with a gun. And they're like, oh my gosh, they're shooting. I'm like, I keep forgetting different countries, different expectations of what is going to be attractive when you come visit somewhere.
Yeah, the guy sitting next to me was Gun Otaku. And we talked a little bit about rifles. It was interesting. It was a very interesting dinner. And the fact that I had been roped into it was just, I wasn't even supposed to be there that day. So, but I enjoyed my time in. I was actually quite shocked. It was very much, Tom said, hey, I got a spot open. You haven't been to Canada at any of our shows. You want to go? And I was like, okay, Edmonton. But yeah, I actually enjoyed myself. The one thing that caught me off guard was the big cloud of pot smoke I had to walk through to get back to the hotel. So now, with the legalization of marijuana in Alberta, how does that affect your event?
Well, one of the things is the Edmonton Expo Center isn't located in the best part of town either. That's
yeah. Okay, good point.
The convention center is located a little bit better. I mean, it still has its downtown issues, right? Like any other city, but the Expo Center
is perfect in Canada.
Well, we'd like to think so.
Yeah, but just remember the roughest part of town there is casual parts
city.
of it's relaxing for us. Very green city. Yeah, it's somebody's answer was a very green city. Also, Vlad, you had Echoes Jigan say they just wanted to say thanks for all the good years. They've been an attendee since 2012 and a panelist since 2016. So you have a bunch of fans showing up in our chat, all trying to say hi to you. So,
well, see, the irony of it all was that there's a story I wasn't going to say, but I'll tell it anyway.
Definitely.
I like as a con chair, I like to during the day. My all my directors and that do a really fantastic job. So everything's usually taken care of, and barring emergencies, I like to go between the fans. Experience the con, see what they like, and so everybody knows me. And I've become sort of because of my AMVs and a little bit of a celebrity there. So everybody always going, hi Vlad, hi Vlad, hi Vlad. People I don't even know who. I wish I knew everybody there. But they all know me. So last year, what we did is we started into raising money for a charity at this children's stollery, and I wanted to really kickstart it. And so as I said, I wanted to use my popularity to offset that. So what I said to people is, I made a co-chair challenge, and I said, if you raise enough money, I will cosplay, but I won't tell you what I'll cosplay as, but I'll make it worth your while.
Oh, your staff has shown me these pictures.
Oh my God. So. But you know what it did? It raised more money than we ever expected, double what we expected at all. And there were people that come up to me and said, I paid a lot of money today to see you, so hopefully it's a good costume. So, use that to your advantage sometimes at cons, that's what I like. I love entertaining and making people happy. And if I, as con chair, can make people happy doing something like that, it's all worthwhile.
If somebody can find one of those amazing shots of Vlad and put it in the chat for Ken to look at later, it's a very magical photo.
Yeah, he would enjoy that one.
Yeah. So,
okay, 10,000 Canadian or US?
Ken never gets tired of the Canadian money joke.
The only time he was very quiet.
I saw my ATM balance when I pulled money out.
I'm going to tell you something about Ken.
Oh my God! Oh, I'm in Canada.
I'm going to tell you something about Ken. I used to go to AWA and they used to be bugged about all the time. Then one year the dollar went to $1.10.
I know.
And you guys were so quiet that year.
Oh yeah,
I was making all the jokes. I was saying, I was pulling out my loonies and going, here.
Everybody get some money.
Oh no.
I'll give you real money.
The greatest one traveling the world doing this. I went to a show a couple of years back called PerCon, which is in Poznan, Poland.
Oh yeah, I forgot about the Polish one.
And they used this. They weren't using the euro anymore. You could play for someplace, but they had zloty was their local currency. And all I remember was going, I don't know what the conversion. I'll just get some money, get a couple hundred zloty. Hopefully, I'll be okay. And I went and did. Took the actor I was there with to dinner, and I said, all right, order everything. I'll pay for it. It's my treat. We're having a good time, and we're getting like these amazing venison steaks, some borscht, pierogi, beer. I mean, it's a huge meal. And the bill comes, and he's like, "Are you sure?" I'm like, "Oh, please, I got this." And I pay, and it came to like 120, 130 zloty total.
Wow.
He's like, "Oh my god, you shouldn't have done." It's like, dude, I was sitting there and I finally learned the conversion rate. That was $25.
It's like Euro trip.
I was suddenly a millionaire. Like I was talking to my wife at the ATM, and like, I'm gonna pull 1,000. She's like, "You're doing what?" I'm like, "Oh, nothing. That's like $200. It's okay. It's cool." So
No, that was it. It was very much pulling my ATM receipt when I was in Edmonton, going, "What the hell? Oh,
Well,
oh, it's a Canadian. Oh,
That's-
okay."
that's one of the large attractions that we do have is our rates, even our convention rates,
mhm.
are lower than even your US rates. And our costs, like even our convention costs, are a lot lower. So like an average con is what, about 60, 70 bucks now, 75?
Yep.
We're about $60, and that's Canadian.
Yeah,
It
gets you
Vicky's
into
the only reason
everything.
that shot is any good, Vlad. So
Well, but you bring up an interesting challenge we have. Well, first off, Ken, when this is over, somebody did post the link so you can see.
oh, I
the
know. I'm looking
amazing
at it right
photos of
now.
Oh, okay, good.
Hey, I delivered. That's important.
Yeah, exactly.
We ran into, and here's an interesting challenge when, again, working with shows that work in the United States and then Canada, actors will appear for a guarantee.
Right.
And
Yeah.
I remember the first couple of shows I dealt with years ago when we were doing Crossing the Border, and it was, "Oh, here's your guarantee." And then there was no clarification on currency. So when they got there, I had to deal with a fire situation of an agent and an actor assuming it's their currency where they signed their agreement,
Oh yeah.
where we are like, no, you're in Canada, and this is a Canadian show. This
Well, that
is the
was-
currency.
Yeah, I mean, us having to do stuff and working with a Canadian company, looking at contracts and what things are going to be paid out in was always.
Oh yeah, yeah. I started putting USD CAD on everything for clarification. It just became something we started learning.
Oh yeah, we have to clarify that. We're very, very, very clear on clarifying that as well.
Smart. You get burnt once.
Yeah, it's there's always a learning curve, and it's always that one incident that you remember for the rest of your life.
Oh yeah, that'll burn you.
But coming all the way back around, so we're down to the last couple of minutes. So bring us home, Vlad. Tell us, what are the plans for Animethon now, going into next year? What can you tell us, and what's the direction of the show now that we're midst or hopefully coming out of COVID?
Well, we're still planning to come back. We definitely are. Still have our dates set for next year, which is August, early
Okay.
August. So at the moment, that's our plans. I mean, we are working on how to do that, and what's the best way that's going to work, just like any other con.
Mhm.
And we're, looking at what other cons have done too, that have come back.
Mhm.
But we plan to come back in one shape or another for sure.
Perfect. And what are the exact dates for next year?
That is August. I got that. Yep, you can
Yeah.
go to the website. I think it's 5 to. I didn't write that down in my little cheat notes.
That's okay. Danielle's going to pull it up in the stream. So
See, the funny
theoretically,
thing is
everybody's
you
watching.
organize your own con and you don't even know the dates.
Oh,
This is
I always,
what,
had to
you
look,
know,
I always had to look it up, Vlad.
I know.
Oh,
Yeah.
and everybody always assumes that you know the entire con schedule if you're in charge.
I
of the
know,
con.
and all my stuff going to be going. Vlad, you forgot the dates already.
Yeah. So you guys are August 6th through the 8th, 2021,
That's correct.
at the Edmonton Convention Center in downtown Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. And you guys probably, you're on Facebook, you're on Twitter, you're on Instagram. Vlad, I'm going to ask the question I know everybody else is asking. When is the Animethon TikTok coming, and what dances will you be doing?
What dances? So I've already been embarrassed by the opening video of the AMV video. One of our guests was an AMV creator called King Redeem, and he made a video of me and he made a video and overlaid it me dancing. So I've already done the
Perfect.
dancing part.
Well, then we'll give up on all hope of a TikTok. But on behalf of myself and Ken, Vlad, thank you. We sincerely appreciate you taking the time coming.
Sure, no problem.
Joining us this evening. Again, folks, if you're ever hankering to go check out a convention in the Great White North, Edmonton's a great town to visit. Ken and I have both been there. It's Animethon. Is it animethon.ca.com? That's a clarification.
It's .org, I think.
.org.
.org?
Yeah.
so animethon.org, and you can find them on. And my producer's saying, make sure you follow Wasabi Anime on social media. We have a scroll at the bottom about all of our social media. If you haven't noticed in the past hour, go watch the whole episode again and find it. But again, all of us are on Twitter, Instagram, the book face for the older people, which is our parents and Vlad. So
and next time you're here, I'll show you the real Edmonton.
The real Edmonton.
I will absolutely take you up on that. The best advice that everybody gave me, the first time I went to Calgary, somebody told me to go to Banff, and I said, I have no idea what the hell you're talking about.
It's a big island.
That was the first piece of advice that I took from a Canadian local, ran with it, and I will take you over next time. That is our show, ladies and gentlemen.
All right.
Vlad, thank you. Everybody check out Animethon, and everybody pose for the camera as we say good night.